Oh, and that's a brilliant effort, and they've turned it right around. In the space of a few minutes, Saudi Arabia grab control of the game.
Welcome to the latest edition of Dawri, the Saudi football podcast, as we exit the second international break of the season and we get back to the main business of the Saudi Pro League. Of course, we'll be looking back on two disappointing performances, however, and indeed results for Roberto Mancini's Saudi Arabia team in the Asia qualifiers for the 2026 World Cup. And on the start of round 7 of the Saudi Pro League, which saw 4 wins for the big boys. Some great content to get into with that, with one match in particular having a very, very dramatic ending. With me, as always, is our new sports editor, Khaled, as we look back at all the action and forward to the remaining matches this weekend. AK, welcome back after the international break. But before we dive deep into all of the excitement and analysis, and with our guest, a big announcement made at the end of the week.
Hi, Peter. Yeah, good to be back after the 2-week break. So a couple of days ago, the Saudi Ministry of Sports confirmed that the Spanish Super Cup will be taking place in Saudi Arabia again. It's time Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Bilbao, and Real Mallorca will be in Jeddah from January 8th till January 12th, 2025. La Liga champions Real Madrid will face Copa del Rey runners-up Real Mallorca on the Wednesday, January 8th. Runners-up Barcelona, the La Liga runners-up Barcelona will play against Copa del Rey winners Atletico Bilbao the following day. And the winners will play in the final on Sunday, January 12th. This is actually the 5th time the Super Copa has been played in Saudi Arabia. If you remember last year, Peter, Real Madrid won against Atletico Madrid. So, another exciting announcement for them. I mean, we knew, obviously, that this was coming, but the official announcement has been made. I think all the Real Madrid and Barcelona fans in Saudi Arabia will be very happy again to see their heroes there. So that's something.
Absolutely. But with that lineup, AK, just before we move on, with that lineup, they've both got a bit of work to do. There's 2 cracking games before they could possibly meet in that final. Yeah,
I mean, they're as you say, like very, very interesting. I think like We've seen the La Liga over the last year or so. The La Liga sort of headquarters are here in Dubai, and we've seen La Liga themselves like really push sort of their brand name out there, beyond just Barcelona and Real Madrid. So clubs like Atletico Bilbao and Real Mallorca, I mean, and of course Atletico Madrid, Villarreal, Valencia, they've all been like doing their bit to sort of spread the name in the region. La Liga really are trying to spread their broadcasting, shall we say, their Arabic social media in the region. We've been speaking to some of their agents here. So I think it's obviously like the Super Copa doesn't technically come under La Liga, but I think Spanish football in general is really pushing beyond just Real Madrid and Barcelona, as you mentioned. So it's always good to see these other teams involved as well.
Absolutely. From one international announcement to more of an international reflection. I sound like a broken record, unfortunately, Ali, but not a great international break for the Arab teams, including our very own Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia had 2 home games to take advantage of. I mean, we spoke in depth about them, of course.
Yeah.
Had they won, it would have put them in a very strong position at the top of Group C. However, a loss to Japan, 2-0, draw with Bahrain, 0-0, sees them now in 3rd place on goal difference with 5 points. Same number of points as Australia in 2nd and Bahrain in 4th. So they're sandwiched between those 2 on goal difference. Remember, Pete, that the top 2 of the 3 group qualifiers, the 3 groups, the top 3 qualify. The top 2 qualify for the World Cup, while the teams in 3rd and 4th progress to the playoffs. So there's 6 matches left. Four rounds have been played. There's 6 matches left in the group. So all is not lost by any means. But it was a major missed opportunity. And again, no goals for the Saudi team. It's been like a year, years now. We've been saying they're struggling to score goals. And, I think that's what did for them again. Pressure on Mancini, of course, will continue. No doubt, it's not all his fault. And we will be discussing this with our guest later. There are really like beyond just bad performance to discuss why, the national team is going through this. Elsewhere, no Arab team managed 2 wins across the break. Asian champions Qatar lost 4-1 to Iran. Very heavy defeat. And remember, they had also been beaten by the UAE at home earlier in the tournament. The UAE, in turn, lost 1-0 in Uzbekistan. Jordan beat Oman 4-0 after a 2-home loss to South Korea. South Korea had, beat Iraq 3-2. After Iraq had beaten Palestine 1-0. So, like a lot of, like I said, Jordan and Iraq sort of sum up a bit what this break was like, like good result here, bad result the second time, or vice versa. But look, speaking of Iraq and Jordan, 2 of the best Arab teams around. They will meet in November's qualifiers in what should be a huge, huge match. They both sit on 7 points in their group from 4 matches. So in second and third place, Jordan are in second, Iraq are in third on goal difference. So it's an absolutely huge match coming up between the 2 of them in the next international break.
Okay, Ali, brilliant roundup. It sounds much, to be honest, just about a lack of consistency from all of the teams involved there. Okay, moving on. It's time to introduce this week's guest, our very own Mr. Consistency himself, Middle East football expert, Matt Monaghan. Matt, welcome back.
I think my wife would disagree with that.
Brilliant. Well, we do, because we look for the football knowledge. We're not going to comment on anything else. But I have to say, Matt, great to see you as always. I know I'm looking at today's script. Ali's got a list as long as the Saudi Arabia missed chances in front of goal to get through with you. So without further ado, AK, take it away.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good to have you back. I know it's been a busy couple of weeks and a busy few days, I'm sure, for you as well, with the return of league football in Saudi and in the UAE, of course, which we know you cover extensively. But we will start with the international break before we move on to league football. Matt, only one place to start, of course, Saudi Arabia, 2 disappointing results, pressure on Mancini. You and I spoke, a few days ago, and I think there's a little bit more nuance to the situation than simply, they played badly and, pressure on the manager. It is lack of goals again. Well, how did you see the match?
I guess the Japan game, I think I'll take that in I think take the 2 games in isolation. Japan, a 2-0 defeat to Japan it's not a good result, but it's not terrible. Japan are one of the absolute best teams in world football at the moment. There's always a chance that Japan are going to come and beat you. Even for a game in Jeddah, there's a good chance that Japan will beat them. I think obviously the disappointment and the frustration comes from the Bahrain game, doesn't it? With Al Dawri's early penalty miss, and then a real failure to build any real momentum in that game. And we saw obviously. That's a missed opportunity. Particularly look at results elsewhere in the group. Indonesia failing to have a good October international break. There's a chance maybe to get ahead of teams like Bahrain, Indonesia, and also even Australia. And I guess Australia with the change of management, a bit more momentum behind them now. So I think it's all up in the air still, isn't it? A little bit, the Saudi Arabia World Cup qualification, and then. With Mancini, it's like, is he the right man or not? That's the big question.
Yeah, I mean, look, you mentioned Australia there, Matt. It shows how quickly things can change. Like in the last international break, they had a really bad start, and we were saying, look, Australia have an opportunity to put some distance between them, particularly if Australia falter again in this window. But here we are, and Australia are actually above Saudi Arabia. Yeah, surely on maybe only on goal difference, but still, it just shows how quickly things can change. I mean, I guess that's maybe a bit of a positive for the next international break, but things at the moment are a little bit, downbeat, I would say, among the fans and everyone. So the question is, you mentioned Mancini and all that. I know you've got your some views on that, and look, we know he was under pressure from the moment he joined because the Asian AFC Asian Cup was just around the corner, a few months away. So he had to hit the ground running, and he hasn't. The performances have not been great, but looking a little bit beyond the surface, and beyond just sort of performances, but there are reasons why. This Mancini or not, why this is happening to the Saudi national team.
Yeah, it's I think as I see it as it's a twofold situation. Two questions: is Mancini the right man or not? And then a separate question is: could any manager deliver the results required? Could any manager, obviously, that incredible? I mean, it's really difficult to follow in the footsteps of Renard, isn't it? And that's. Could any manager do that? Mancini's on, I think, in every press conference, pretty much talks about the lack of minutes, the lack of starts for his players, and that is a real issue for the Saudi Arabia team at the moment. Although I will say, one positive thing coming from this weekend is obviously what we've seen in Belgium with Marwan Al Sahafi scoring the 2 goals to beat Anderlecht. He's on loan there from Al Ittihad at the moment. He started against Bahrain. And so there's things like that. That is there is a bit of positivity or something like that. But yeah, I think it's just a really nuanced situation, Manchi. I don't think it's not a simple one to answer. I think you can see with the approach of the federation at the moment, it's been since that game, they've not rushed into anything. As we speak, Mancini's still at the helm, and you'd imagine that's probably going to stay the case for a bit longer. The game looms, doesn't it, in the next international break? Absolutely enormous match against Australia.
Yeah, look, Matt, I mean, it's good you mentioned that because, whatever criticism he gets, look, some things, there were issues that were there before he joined and he hasn't been able to sort of eliminate because they run quite deep, certain positions on the pitch, goalkeeper being one of them, forwards being the other, so few Saudi Arabian players or, are getting opportunities on the positions, and so few young Saudi Arabian players are coming through and playing in these positions. There's only one goalkeeper position on the pitch, and obviously, few forward positions. In defense and midfield, perhaps this is where Saudi Arabia are a little bit more, stocked or have more options, shall we say? But again, the issue has been goal scoring, and when you have hardly any Saudi players playing week in, week out, scoring, getting momentum behind them. It's hard to transfer, to just show up for the national team and start scoring goals.
Yeah, although I will say, Faraz Al Burhan, he scored for Al Ahly, didn't he? I think he got an assist as well. He just scored in the game against Al Khalid. So there are positive. There are certain players doing well, but it's just the lack of minutes. Particularly, I mean, you look at the goalkeeper options as well. None of those guys are starting for their club teams.
Yeah, I mean,
it is a problem, and it's one of those again where it's that's the manager can't do anything about that. That's beyond the manager. You can then debate about whether Mancini, personnel changes pretty much every game. Formation seems to change with a fair degree of regularity as well. But is that just a byproduct of the fact that Mancini hasn't seen these players that much? So he's having to really scramble about, and would anyone else be able to do any better? Yeah,
it's a good point. I mean, I do feel like it's an important conversation that it really isn't as simple as that. It's all on the manager or it's all on the players and all that. I think there is, as you mentioned, a nuanced conversation. So, look, with the next international break, I think we go, like we said, it's with 4 matches gone off the 10 for each team. There's still time. Plenty of time, I think, to salvage the situation and all that. But at the end of
so compact. Group C is so compact. I think nobody can argue Japan are a class apart. I mean, I think not just in Group C, but I would say in Asian football at the moment, I think, comfortably the best team in Asian football at the moment. Looking at results over a reasonably long period of time. Obviously, they didn't have the best Asian Cup, but looking over the reasonably long spell of time. And I think that's the thing now. Saudi Arabia is still very much in the mix to finish second. Worst case scenario, so we've got a bigger World Cup, very much in the mix to finish in the top 4. So it's not all negative at the moment. I think I can see why patience is being applied to the situation. Right,
and I think one other thing is, Matt, is at the end of the next international break, we would have gone from four matches played to 6 matches played, and I think perhaps as you say, it's very compact at the moment. Maybe it'll start shaping up a little bit. With only 4 left, we'll have a slightly better idea. So we'll wait and see. But moving on to like a few other of the Arab nations, not a very good window for the UAE and Qatar again, Matt.
Yeah, I think Qatar, the game against Iran, I think was a check, wasn't it, on them? They took the lead, and then Iran, through Sadat Azmoun, who's been an unbelievably good signing for Shabab Al Ali Dubai Club, playing at Rashid Stadium with that change of fixture. And Iran just looked absolutely incredible from the moment they went behind at Rashid Stadium in Dubai. And yeah, the UAE, I think it's just a frustrating one for the UAE. Obviously, failing to beat North Korea at home. And then Uzbekistan, it was a pretty even game with Uzbekistan. Then you get the red card. And it was made it a real uphill struggle for the UAE. But again, if you look at the table, UAE is 3rd, Qatar 4th. Iran and Uzbekistan look like they're gone. I think they'd be very, very difficult to catch those two. And I'm not even sure those teams have the ability to catch those two. I think Uzbekistan have been built. We've been talking about this for decades, isn't it? Uzbekistan, will they make the World Cup? They should make the World Cup. But now this really does feel like the time that Uzbekistan will make the World Cup. You have to say that's richly deserved. As a nation, Uzbekistan, they punch so far above their weight, and it's just been a matter of time, hasn't it? I think before they make the World Cup. In Iran, what more can you say about Iran? They've got just so many quality players. And they're looking much better than the UAE and Qatar.
Yeah, Iran looked brilliant, Matt. And look, alongside Japan, who you mentioned earlier, I think Uzbekistan and Iran really do look like, I shouldn't say certainties, but as close to that as you can say,
Oh, yeah.
And while I keep, obviously we talk about the Arab teams, there does seem to be that growing feeling. Hopefully, Saudi Arabia will break that as well. As well, like maybe one of Jordan and Iraq, but there we are at the moment stuck in those second, third, fourth positions. By hoping to break in, while Japan, Iran, and Uzbekistan really looked absolutely immense. So look, some of the other pick off the other matches. I think Iraq 2, South Korea 3. Matt, that was a big match.
Yeah, it was. And again, Ayman Hussein amongst the goals. Ibrahim Bayesh has been in such good form, hasn't he, as well? He got a late consolation for Iraq. But again, a 3-2 loss in South Korea is not that bad, is it? I think if you look at South Korea have been, how many World Cups in a row have South Korea been to? They've got some global superstars in their team. Iraq, again, they're just building, aren't they? They're very, very much in the mix. If you look at that table, it's looking like a straight shootout at the moment, isn't it, between Jordan and Iraq for an automatic spot. I think Jordan and Iraq are going to comfortably finish in the top 3. So one will make the World Cup, one will make it into the 4th round. I think Jordan and Iraq will both be a team that the teams be wanting to dodge in the 4th round.
Yeah, and of course they play each other in the next window. Huge match, Just a quick mention of for Palestine 2-2 with Kuwait. They were 10 down to 10 men, 2-1 down. Very late equalizer. Well done, Palestine. With everything that's going on, of course.
Of course.
It's been a tough qualifying campaign, with the political situation. But again, well done, Palestine, and one to keep an eye on.
They're in the mix as well. If you look at that group, you've got in the top 3, South Korea, Jordan, Iraq. They're definitely going to finish in the top 3, but somebody's got to finish 4th, haven't they? Which gets you into the next round. At the moment, it's only 1 point separates Palestine in 6th from Oman in 4th. So it's all up for grabs. There's still plenty to play for. Yeah.
absolutely. A win would change the situation for any of those three at the bottom, So, great stuff to look forward to for the next international break. Matt, now we move on to the league action. And, I think we could say straightforward, with the exception of one, wins for the Big Four, or for the four big boys who played in the last couple of days. But I want to start off with that, the very dramatic end in the Riyadh derby between Shabab and Al Nassr. Tell us about that, Matt. Incredible end.
Yeah, it was at 97th minute after a 90th minute own goal to level, make it 1-1. Then, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo, doesn't he? Steps up, 97th minute, buries the penalty, keeps Al Nassr, 4 points behind Al Hilal again. We look at Al Hilal, 7 wins out of 7 at the top. I think it was an interesting game as well for Al Shabab. Has started the season looking much improved this term. And I guess it's just they would have been feeling a lot happier, wouldn't they? Would they have been in the mix for a third place finish? Maybe they managed to hold on for a draw in that match. But no, Al Nassr win. And the table's looking quite familiar now, isn't it? I think you look at it, Al Hilal, Al Ittihad, Al Nassr, the top three, and it's just so difficult to get across that top three. Even for Al Ali who won, Ivan Toney scored, Faraz Al-Barakan scored, but they're quite a few points off the top three. And I guess the big one as well is off the pitch, the announcement of what's going to happen as we speak. We're recording on Sunday that Neymar is going to play for Al Hilal tomorrow in the AFC Champions League Elite at the AFC Champions League holders Al Ain. So there's plenty going on in Saudi Arabia.
No, amazing stuff. And I want to get to, I do want to speak about that very, very big Champions League match. Before I go, I just must mention that that game between Shabab and Al Nassr, Al Nassr had taken the lead. Shabab, as Matt mentioned, equalized in the 90th minute. Cristiano Ronaldo scores a 97th minute penalty to give them the lead. And there was still time for Shabab to miss a penalty through Abdurrazzaq Hamdallah, after that. And they could have actually gone 2-2 and it was saved. Amazing scenes at the end. I think one of the most dramatic ends, probably the most dramatic end of the matches this season so far, and does keep Al Nassr in touch up there. Obviously, as we know, Al Hilal are flying. Al Ittihad won, as you mentioned, Matt. Again, Benzema, keeping up his keeping up his
Diaby as well.
Yeah,
and also absolutely. I would say as well, a big thing is just it's so good to see the atmosphere back. Al Ittihad last season, because it was one of the worst title offences I think we've ever seen, wasn't it, from Al Ittihad last season? And that obviously had a knock-on effect, I guess, with the enthusiasm of the fans. But the atmosphere was absolutely electric, wasn't it, last night for the match against Al Qadisiyah? Wow, the supporters, the Al Ittihad supporters, are just something else.
They are on their day, Matt, as you say, when they are when the team's winning. Even sometimes when they're losing as well, of course, they're always there for the team. Some of the best supporters in the world. Absolutely incredible.
Without question. I think that's something that, I think that's a message that it's important to keep repeating, that I think for the wider world outside Saudi Arabia, it's about the transfers and things like that, and it seems quite new. But these are clubs that have decades and decades and decades and decades of fanatical support, and it's some of the tifos, the passion for the team, the commitment for the fans. A lot of these fans as well, it's not just about the home support. You get genuine away support, don't you, as well? This is a league where big numbers travel to support their team across the country. And Saudi Arabia is not a small country, You're travelling around, and it's. I think it's just remarkable. I think it's something that isn't remarked upon enough. I think it's something worth repeating.
Good point, Matt, because you know what? A lot of the cynics, they're entitled to their own opinions, but they will use certain matches which have low attendances and say, certain players in Europe, you were playing in front of 40,000 and now you're playing in front of, small crowd and all that. They tend to pick on, those matches without really seeing what the top matches or what the top clubs offer, And as I say, when it comes to Al Ittihad, absolutely sensational support, some of the best in the world. Good point,
and a big win for them as well to see off Al Qadisiyah as well. It's a big win.
A massive win, yeah, because we were saying Qadisiyah one of the stories of the season, a club to keep on and on. But the interest is with Ittihad is they are right up there at the top of the table. Their only loss was against Al Hilal, of course, and 3 points behind now. So
3 points,
3 points behind because, like I said, they've won all their other games. So shaping up nicely, with Al Nassr, of course. Again, we'll see if Al Ahly also continued, on their winning ways, shaping up nicely. But as we, probably a good time to leave Saudi Pro League to say that, Al Hilal are still the team to beat by a long way.
We could say that. We could say that at any point, couldn't we? Really?
Yeah, at any point, yeah. A long way. And speaking of Al Hilal, Matt, we have to talk about the last thing we, on the agenda this week: AFC Champions League Elite. All the Saudi teams away from home, I believe, if I'm not wrong, Matt. Hilal are at Al Ain, Rayyan play Al Ahly, and Istiqlal host Al Nassr. Well, let's go to
Dubai that game as well.
Yeah, Istiqlal Nassr, correct. Yeah, Al Ain against Hilal. What a match! It doesn't get bigger than this.
It doesn't. I mean, you got the. I guess we can still be called the holders, even though the format's changed. They are the Asian champions, Al Ain. Obviously, Al Ain as well, who eliminated Al Nassr and Al Hilal on the way to the trophy last season. Players like Sufyan Rahimi, one of the players of 2024, not just in Asian football but global football. If you look at what he did at the Olympics as well. And then you've got Al Hilal coming to town, which is always a tremendous event. And that big announcement in the last day or so, wasn't it, that Neymar should be playing in that match, which I think that's ominous for everyone else. Yeah,
I mean, if you remember when Al Ain welcomed Hilal in the last edition of this competition, or obviously, as you said, it's changed the format, but last season's Champions League, I mean, that was an incredible match. As you remember,
they blew them out of the water, didn't they?
Absolutely blew them out of the water. The atmosphere was incredible. 4-2 final score for Al Ain, which obviously helped them, on their way to winning the title. And I mean, I'd expect, especially with Neymar being there, all these big names from Hilal, and playing as reigning champions, is going to be an incredible atmosphere. Really look forward to that one. Matt,
and Al Ain really need a result as well, because it's not been a good title defense so far for them.
It certainly
hasn't. They need a result.
We didn't really have much time this week to talk about what's happening in the UAE League, but good point to mention there. So they will be doing everything, obviously, to keep hold of their title. Massive match. Arab football doesn't get bigger than that. And on that note, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure Peter's got something for you before you shoot off.
Absolutely. Begins with a P, Matt. Predictions. And of course, it's for the big one that Ali and you so wonderfully bigged up, because it's as Ali says quite rightly, it's kind of phrase, it doesn't get bigger. Al Ain against Al Hilal, Matt. Give us your thoughts on a prediction.
3-1 to the visitors.
3-1 to the visitors. That's what we like. It's just straight in. There's no messing around, Ali. Same question to you.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think Matt, something Matt said just a couple of seconds ago is the most important thing here. Al Ain not really on form, Al Hilal flying, and I think they'll have a bit of revenge on their mind as well. Add the Neymar, add the Neymar factor, and I think it all points to a Hilal win. I can't see Al Ain winning that, even with their amazing fans behind them. It will be a great atmosphere. This is one Al Hilal will win. I think I'll go for Al Ain 1, Al Hilal 2.
Okay, great stuff. Both away wins there. Fantastic. All that remains is for me to say enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you next week for another edition of Dawri.